Have the Seattle Seahawks just made one of the most shocking roster decisions of the offseason? Reports suggest a star wide receiver could be on the way out in a move that has stunned fans and sparked intense debate across the National Football League. Some believe the surprising cut is part of a larger plan to create cap flexibility and open the door for new additions, while others fear Seattle may be losing a key offensive weapon at a critical time. Either way, this unexpected roster move has everyone asking the same question. What does the front office know that the fans don't? Yo, what is up, 12s? Hope you're having an awesome day, because we've got a lot to talk about. I've been keeping a close eye on everything happening around the Seahawks team, and honestly, the deeper you dig into what's going on behind the scenes, the more interesting this offseason becomes. A lot of people are looking at Seattle right now and thinking this team should simply be celebrating what they accomplished. After all, this is a franchise coming off a Super Bowl appearance, a team that proved it belongs among the NFL elite once again. But if there's one thing we've learned about the NFL, it's that nothing stays the same for very long. While fans are still enjoying the memories of last season, the front office is already thinking about the future. Coaches are evaluating every position. Contracts are being analyzed. Young players are trying to earn jobs. Veterans are fighting to extend their careers. And every single move that happens right now could impact what this team looks like not only in 2026, but beyond. The reality is that some of the players we've watched for years may be entering their final season in Seattle. That's never easy to hear, especially when those players have helped build the culture that got this team back to championship contention. Let's start with Uchenna Nwosu. This is one that honestly feels a little bittersweet because when he's healthy, he's exactly the type of player every defense wants. He brings energy, leadership, toughness, and production. Last season, he reminded everyone why Seattle valued him so highly in the first place. He was disruptive off the edge, constantly creating pressure and helping make life difficult for opposing quarterbacks. When you watch this defense at its best, Nwosu was a huge reason why things worked. He wasn't just collecting stats. He was affecting games. But football is a business, and sometimes business decisions don't match emotional decisions. Nwosu will turn 30 during the season, and he's entering the final year of his current deal. That's where things become complicated. The Seahawks have already invested heavily in younger pieces they believe can carry the pass rush into the future. Derek Hall continues to develop and has become a major part of the long-term vision. The front office also has other financial commitments to think about as they try to keep the core of this roster together. So while many fans would love to see Nwosu remain in Seattle for years to come, the reality is that this season could end up being his final ride with the Seahawks. And if that's the case, you know he's going to be playing with something to prove. Players in contract years tend to find another level. They know every sack matters, every pressure matters, every game matters. And if Nwosu delivers another strong season, there are going to be teams lining up with significant offers next offseason. Then there's Jarran Reed. This one feels different. This isn't just about production or contracts. This is about history. Think about it for a second. Jarran Reed represents one of the final connections to an era that defined Seahawks football. An era that turned Seattle into one of the most feared teams in the league. An era that gave fans memories they'll never forget. Time moves quickly in professional sports. 1 minute you're watching the Legion of Boom dominate offenses every Sunday. The next minute you realize almost everyone from that era has moved on. Reed has continued to be a valuable piece of this defense. He's provided experience, leadership, and stability. Younger players respect him. Coaches trust him. Teammates appreciate what he brings. But he's entering the later stages of his career. Defensive tackle is one of the most physically demanding positions in football. Every snap is a battle. Every game is a war in the trenches. At some point, every player has to make a decision about how much longer they want to keep doing it. Whether Reed decides to retire after the season or whether the team chooses to go younger, it's becoming increasingly possible that 2026 could mark the end of his Seattle chapter. And if that happens, it will truly feel like the closing of a historic era. Now let's talk about the player who has probably generated more debate among Seahawks fans than almost anyone else on the roster. Anthony Bradford. If you've spent any time reading comments, listening to fan discussions, or talking Seahawks football online, you've seen the opinions. Some fans want him gone immediately. Others believe he deserves another opportunity. And honestly, both sides have understandable arguments. There were definitely moments last season where Bradford struggled. There were pass protection reps that left fans frustrated. There were missed assignments. There were blocking issues that stalled drives. There were games where people were openly questioning whether he should remain in the starting lineup. Those criticisms didn't come from nowhere. But here's where things get interesting. The story isn't as simple as saying he struggled and therefore should be cut. Football evaluations rarely work that way. When the season progressed and the games became more important, Bradford actually showed improvement. He settled down. He became more consistent. He looked more comfortable within the offense. Was he perfect? Absolutely not. But he wasn't the same player fans were criticizing early in the year. And that's important because coaches pay attention to development. They care about where a player finishes just as much as where he starts. Now, let's discuss the part most fans don't always think about. The Seahawks are trying to win another championship right now. Not 2 years from now. Not 3 years from now. Right now. That changes everything. If you're rebuilding, you can afford to throw inexperienced players into starting roles and live with mistakes. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, every decision becomes more complicated. That's why the conversation around Bradford isn't as straightforward as many people think. Sure, there are younger players on the roster. Sure, there are developmental prospects. Sure, there are fans who want someone else to get the opportunity. But who is truly ready to take that job? That's the question the coaching staff has to answer. The rookie Bo Stevens has generated excitement among fans. Anytime a new offensive lineman arrives, people start imagining the upside. And that's understandable. But rookies often need time. The jump from college football to the NFL trenches is massive. Technique matters more. Strength matters more. Recognition matters more. Even talented rookies can struggle. The coaching staff may eventually see Stevens as a future starter, but expecting him to immediately step into a championship-level lineup could be asking too much. Then there's Christian Haynes. He's had opportunities. He's been part of the competition, but so far he hasn't firmly grabbed the job. That's why Bradford remains in the picture. Not because the team believes he's perfect, not because he's untouchable, but because at this moment he may still represent the safest option. And when you're chasing another championship, safe sometimes wins. What's fascinating is that Bradford is entering what many would call a make-or-break season. His future is being written right now. If he takes another step forward, improves his consistency, and becomes a reliable starter, suddenly the entire conversation changes. People stop talking about replacing him. People start talking about extending him. That's how quickly narratives shift in the NFL. But if the struggles return, if the inconsistency shows up again, then the organization will likely look elsewhere after the season. The pressure is real. And honestly, that's what makes his story one of the most intriguing storylines on the roster. Every snap is going to be evaluated. Every performance is going to matter. Every game will contribute to determining what happens next. And that's exactly why training camp is going to be fascinating to watch. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this breakdown and love Seahawks content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This offseason is going to be packed with storylines, roster battles, and breaking news, and you don't want to miss any of it. Also drop a like because it really helps more 12s discover the channel and join the conversation. Now here's the bigger picture. When you combine everything we've talked about today, a clear theme starts to emerge. This team is evolving. That's what happens when organizations stay successful. You can't stand still. You can't get attached to every player. You can't make decisions based purely on emotion. The Seahawks are trying to accomplish something incredibly difficult. They're trying to compete for championships while simultaneously preparing for the future. That's a delicate balancing act. You have veterans who helped build the current foundation. You have younger players waiting for opportunities. You have contract decisions approaching. You have salary cap considerations. You have draft picks developing. And all of those factors are happening at the same time. Some teams go all in and sacrifice their future. Others focus so heavily on the future that they stop competing in the present. The Seahawks are attempting to do both. They're trying to keep the championship window open while also making sure the roster remains strong for years to come. That isn't easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things to do in professional sports. And that's why every roster move matters. Every training camp battle matters. Every contract decision matters. Because the difference between staying a contender and falling behind can be incredibly small. The encouraging news for Seahawks fans is that the foundation remains strong. The core pieces are in place. The roster still has talent on both sides of the ball. There are young stars emerging. There are experienced veterans providing leadership. There is belief inside the organization. And perhaps most importantly, there are expectations. This isn't a team hoping to become competitive. This is a team expecting to compete for championships. That's a completely different mindset. The standard has changed. And when the standard changes, every player feels it. That's why this upcoming season feels so important. For some players, it's an opportunity to prove they deserve long-term roles. For others, it could be their final chance to wear a Seahawks uniform. For the organization, it's another opportunity to chase greatness. And for the fans, it's going to be one incredible ride. So stay locked in, 12s. The offseason drama is only beginning. Training camp is around the corner. Position battles are coming. Big decisions are coming. And if the last year taught us anything, it's that things can change fast in the NFL. There's a lot to be excited about, a lot to watch, and a lot still left to unfold. Go Hawks!